Hey guys, sorry about this whole morning thing, but had some technical difficulties late last night. Got my other 3 classes done, went to do y'all's, crash and burn. Same with this morning, but it's okay because I'm up and running. So now, I get to do 5 videos today. All right, so you'll be seeing the same shirt on me in tomorrow's video. It's just because I'm doing it all in one day. All right, let's get started. This is chapter 11. This stuff is kind of weird, okay? So bear with me. I double checked with the state to see if there's anything that I could get rid of in this chapter. And there's this much that I can get rid of in this chapter. Same with chapter 12. We got to get through all of 11 and 12 in this 6 weeks before you finish Algebra 1 to be able to receive full credit. And they're probably some of the weirder ones, okay? Not gonna lie to you. Probably 2 of the hardest chapters for some of you. So I'm gonna need y'all to really take your time and pay attention to the video, and if you need to, rewind the video and go back and forth over it, okay? Because I cannot be there with you, and you do have to learn this. All right, here we go. So let's get started. 11.1, expressing roots. Okay, so when I said I could find something that I could get rid of, it's actually in this section. I'm only going to teach you half of this section. There's part of it that I can get rid of. Y'all should be happy about that. I'm happy about that, having to teach it from my house. So anyway, if you look in your book, there's going to be some things that I'm not going over with y'all. It's okay. It's not going to hurt you. And I know all of you don't care, but in case your parents are wondering, it's okay. All right. This is basically, we're talking about square roots. This whole chapter is going to be dealing with square roots. For example, remember this. 3 squared. 3 squared is 9, right? It means 3 times 3. All right, now watch this. -3 squared. It's the same thing. It's also 9, positive 9. Because that's -3 times -3. Negative times a negative gives you a positive. Okay? All right, now, with that said, if I were to say, what is the square root of 9? It could be 3 or -3. And it's expressed or written plus or minus 3. Because it's positive 3 or -3. Okay, so look and see what I'm saying. I could do -3 times -3 gives you a positive 9. 3 times 3 gives you a positive 9. See how that works? So up until now, this is all you knew. Square root of 9 is 3. But in reality, it could be -3. Because remember what this means. This means what times itself gives you 9. 3 times 3 gives you 9. But -3 times -3 will also give you a positive 9. So therefore now it could be, see, Algebra 1, it could be positive 3 or -3. Okay, so from now on, that's what it looks like. Okay. This funny thing, that's called the radical sign. Okay, that's called the radical sign. No one ever really knows what to call it because it's not a division sign. It's the little check thing. I mean, everyone just calls it all different kinds of things. We call it the radical. Okay, it's a radical sign. You can just call it the radical. That 9 in there, that's called the radicand. Radicand. Okay? All right. It's positive. For example, if you have a positive radicand, looks like this. Square root of 9 is 3. Okay, we're just dealing with positives right now. Square root of 16, what times itself gives you 16? 4. That's basically saying 4 times 4, right? Okay, that's for the positive. If you have negative, watch this. You have a negative outside that. See this negative right here? That would be -4. The negative needs to be on the outside. What would that be? -3. See? Right? Okay. So that negative right there, I don't know what that means, tells you if they want a negative root. Whoops, that says root or not. Okay? And we're going to talk about that. Okay, so let me kind of jump back real quick before I introduce what a cube root is. If I were to give you this again, okay, notice there's nothing in that little check mark. Okay, the answer to this is 3, right? Because 3 times 3 is 9. So the answer is 3, right? Okay, notice there's 2 right here. That means that root is 2. It's kind of like whenever you have a letter and there's no number in front of it, we pretend there's a 1. Well, if we have a radical sign and there's no number there, no number, no root, then we pretend we pretend there's a 2 there, okay? That would mean the answer to that is 4, because it's 4 times 4. Remember, 1, 2. Okay? You'll understand this in just a second. If there's no number right here, this is where your roots are. And I'm gonna explain that to you in just a second, but I want to prepare you. If there's nothing there, we're going to pretend that the root, which is a number that goes in that check mark, is 2. What's the square root of 16? 4. Because there's no number here, so that's going to be a 2. So it's going to be 4 times 4. See, 2 numbers, 1 and 2. Now let me show you the cube root. Cube root. Cube root would look like this, with a little 3 in there. Okay, so if you look back, what I was trying to prepare you for is if there's nothing in that little check mark, we pretend that it's 2. Okay, the root is 2. And it would look something like this. All right, but if there's nothing, then we just pretend it's 2. But for all other roots, the number is going to be in there. For example, what is 2 cubed? Well, that's 2 times 2 times 2, right? 3. 1, 2, 3. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. So 2 cubed is 8. Therefore, watch this. Sorry. Instead of saying the square root of 8, because remember square means 2, all right? They're looking for the cubed root of 8. The cubed root of 8 is 2, because it's what number times itself 3 times gives you that 8? 2. 2 times 2 times 2 gives you 8. See that 3. Some of you are going to be completely confused and may need to watch this video a couple of times. Some of you, it's already starting to click, okay? So the number right here is called the root. This is called the root. Remember, if I have nothing there, if there's nothing there, we assume there's going to be a 2. And in that case, it's 5, because 5 times 5 is 25. See? 1, 2. See that? Here, it's what number times itself 3 times will give us this. 2. 2 times 2 times 2 gives us 8. Hopefully you've got a parent or somebody that can help explain that to you, since I'm not there with you and you have to learn this. Okay. Let's talk about the nth root. Okay, on your calculator, and this class is pretty good at using the calculator. On the calculator, it looks like this. See, there's a little X in that little thing right there. That's what it looks like. All right, for example, that's if you use it. I mean, I don't care at this point. If you know how to do this stuff, I'm so happy. So I don't care if y'all use that calculator. Allie stole mine for her pre-cal class, and so I apologize I don't have it. If you cannot figure it out on the calculator and you need me to help you, contact me and I'll go get it from her. But right now she's having to use it. Okay. Let's say I have, what is the 4th root? Instead of like the square root or the cube root. Remember, this is square, cube. Now we're going to use a 4 there. So what that's saying is what number times itself 4 times gives us 81. What number times itself 4 times gives us 81. See, this is where it gets hard. You got to start playing around with numbers. All right, it's 3. Because 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. 27 times 3 is 81. Okay, so 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. 3, 4 times. See that? 3 multiplied by itself 4 times gives us 81. Looks like this. So 3 to the 4th power gives us 81. Okay, so really this stuff isn't bad. It's just trying to figure it out. And again, I don't care if you use a calculator right now. I just have to make sure that I introduce it, and then you kind of grasp the idea and can perform it on a quiz or test with or without a calculator. Okay? I don't care if you use a calculator right now. We're just trying to survive. Okay. Now I got to introduce even roots. What they're talking about is if it's, remember the root is right here. The even root of a negative number is not a real number. For example, I'm running out of space. So even root, when they say even roots, we're talking about 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. We're talking about even roots. Okay, an even root of a negative number is not a real number. Let me show you why. Let's say I have a root of 2 and the radicand is 4, a negative 4. So this is an even root. Do you see that? This is your root in the little check. It's an even root because it's a 2. Negative number. See? Of a negative number. So an even root of a negative number is not a real number. Let me show you why. Remember, the root is 2, so that means something times itself twice is going to give you a negative 4. Well, let's check that out. 2 times 2 gives you a positive 4, right? Negative 2 times negative 2 gives you a positive 4. So there is nothing that times itself twice will give you a negative number. You can't have it. You can't do a positive 2 times a negative 2 because when you're doing square roots, it's got to be the same. So there's no way to have a root of 2 or an even number and get a negative radicand. Won't work. See? No. Okay. How about if I had a root of 4? Okay, so that's an even root for negative 9. The radicand is negative 9. That's not real. Besides the fact that there is no number times itself 4 times, it's going to give you 9, much less negative 9. See what I'm saying? So sometimes this stuff isn't going to work. They're going to try to trick you on this. Okay? I mean, you can only have 3 times 3 that gives you 9. There is no other way to get 9, especially 4 times. All right. Odd roots. Of a negative number is a negative real number. The Algebra 1 class last year loved this stuff, but they were kind of an odd group. They really did. A lot of them really enjoyed this. To me, it's like, really? Okay. Example. Let's say I have negative 27 over 125. And yes, you're going to have ugly ones. That's right, Xavier. You're going to have a fraction. Okay. Here is your odd root. And here we have a negative radicand. Okay? That is a real number. Because you can have a negative times a negative times a negative and get a negative answer, right? Okay, and in fact, this one is negative 3/5. Because if I did, see, that's an odd root. If I did negative 3/5 times negative 3/5 times negative 3/5, I would get that answer. Now, your calculator is not going to do that. So you're going to have to try to figure out. What I tell my students, look at the top number. It's 27. What times itself 3 times gives you 27? 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. 125. What times itself 3 times gives you 125? 5 times 5 is 25. 25 times 5 is 125. So when you have those fractions like that, just break it down. Start with the top number and then the bottom number. You can use your calculator for that. You can put in the 3 as your root and then just put in the negative like 27 or just 27, because you know if it's an odd root, then your answer is going to be negative. So you can just put the root of 3 with the 27 and it'll give you 3. And then go back and do the same thing with 125 and it'll give you 5. Seriously. And again, if I had my calculator to show you. If any of you need to have a demonstration with the calculator, like I said, just contact me. We can do like a Google Meet or something like that and I'll show you. Or FaceTime and I can show you. All right, let's do another example. How about if we have a root of 5? So this is odd, an odd number. So we know it's going to work. It is a real number. You will have a negative answer. So what number times itself 5 times? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Negative, 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 negative. What times itself 5 times is going to get you negative 32. The answer is negative 2. Because negative, here I'll do it in red. Negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. And keep multiplying it by negative 2. That's a negative 8. Negative 8 times negative 2, positive 16. Positive 16 times negative 2 is negative 32. All right, so your answer is negative 2. Okay. All right, the next part was supposed to be exponential and radical form, but we're going to stop right there. Okay, so go ahead and open up your books to page 435. Okay, we're going to skip that other part. All right, number 1. It says find the indicated roots. If the root is not a real number, just state not real. So number 1 is square root of 49. Okay, remember, if we have nothing there, if there's nothing in the check mark, what is the root supposed to be? Imaginary 2. But you guys already know that. So what's the square root of 49? In other words, what number times itself 2 times gives you 49. That's right, it's 7. Because 7 times 7 gives you 49. Okay, remember, that's a root. And if there's no number in there, then we pretend there's a 2. All right, number 3. Negative square root 36. There's nothing there. So if no root is there, what do we pretend? Then it's a 2. I want to write this down so you don't forget. So we're going to pretend there's a 2 there. Okay, now here, notice the negative on the outside. Okay, that's a positive 36 with the negative on the outside. So what times itself is going to give you that 36? That's right, 6. And because of that negative, we're going to say it's negative 6. Because of that negative, it becomes negative 6. It's just automatic. Notice the negative's not on the inside here, so you don't have to worry about all that. It's okay if this is an even root because the negative sign's on the outside. What we had talked about is if there was an even root and the negative was on the inside, then it is not a real number. See that? See the difference? 2 on the inside, 2 as a root, an even number as a root, with a negative on the inside. That is not a real number. But this time, it was an even root and the negative's on the outside, so that is okay. It's good. All right, number 5. Square root of 49 over 16. Okay, remember what I told y'all. Just block it off. Look at just the top number and then the bottom number. And remember, there's no root here, so what do we pretend is there? 2. So what we're looking for is what number times itself 2 times on top and 2 times on the bottom. Okay? So what number times itself twice is going to give you 49? 7. What number times itself twice is going to give you 16? 4. 7 times 7 and 4 times 4. See? 2. Okay? 7 times 7 gives you 49. 4 times 4 gives you 16. All right, 7. 7 is, oh yeah, this is fun, decimals. It's worse than the fractions. Again, we do not have a root present, so we pretend it's a 2. So you can play around with your calculators or whatever and figure out what times itself is going to give you 0.01. And yeah, you're going to have decimals and stuff. This is Algebra 1. It's tough. All right, it is 0.1. And if you don't believe me, go ahead and multiply it out. Times itself twice because of that. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 0 is 0. Put my placeholder there. 0 times 1 is 0. 0 times 0 is 0. I have 0, 0, and 1. How many total places in the problem do we have behind the decimal? 1 and 2. 2 places. So then I move my decimal so that I have 2 places behind it. Notice, see? Decimals, you're funny. That's why I said y'all can use your calculator. All right, here we go. Number 9. Negative 196. Okay, you can have a negative under here. Okay? Except if you have an even root. And what is the root here? If we have nothing there, it's 2. 2 is an even root. You cannot have an even root and a negative in the radicand. Cannot do it. So therefore, it's not real. You cannot have an even root and a negative in the radicand. All right, 11. (16) as a radicand, and 4 is your root. So, what number times itself 4 times is going to give you 16? What number times itself 4 times is going to give you 16? You should be pausing these after I write this down and trying it on your own and see if you get the right answer. So, what number times itself 4 times gives you 16? 2. Because 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. All right, 13. The root is 3, and the radicand is a negative 27. All right, guys. This time it's an odd root with a negative. It can work. It is a real number because it's an odd root where this right here was an even root. So an odd root will work with a negative radicand. And again, we're looking at what number times itself 3 times is going to give us a negative 27. And it has to be a negative number. And 3 will work. Negative 3 times negative 3 is a positive 9. Positive 9 times negative 3 is negative 27. Okay? All right, 15. Try this on your own. Pause the video and then come back and see if you're correct. Now remember with this, just look at the top number and then just look at the bottom number. You can use your calculators on this one, but you're going to have to separate it, okay? All right, so what number times itself 3 times is going to give you 125? What number times itself 3 times is going to give you 125? 5. So the top number is 5. Now what number times itself 3 times is going to give you 64? 4. 4 times 4 is 16. 16 times 4 is 64. You don't have to change it to any improper, mixed number or something like that. You just leave it the way it is. And the last one, okay, this is a weird one, but the last one I'm doing is 17. Notice that right there? Okay, that's to throw you off. It's so dumb. The answer to this is just 1492. Because what they're saying is 1492 times 1492 is going to get you what really should have been in there. what that really is, if you were to get your calculator and square that, see, I've already worked it out. This is what the number should have been. And they want to know, remember, squared, there's nothing there, so we are going to pretend it's a 2. So what number times itself gives you this number? 1492. It's so dumb. I don't even know why they have those in there. So anytime you have a square like that, it's itself. Okay? It's itself. If you ever have a square like that, it's itself. Okay. Look at number 19. Look at 19. The root is 3. 1776 cubed. Guys, if the root and the exponent are the same, we don't have corona, then it is itself. That's so dumb. All right, we're going to stop there. That's all you need to do. You're going to be doing page 435, even numbers, 2 through 20, even. It's not very many. Due Tuesday. I'm about to assign some, you're going to have a quiz on Monday for April 20th. Your IXL that I'm about to assign is also due Monday for 20. Okay? All right, if you have any questions, guys, contact me. But only after you've watched this video a couple of times, because, I can talk you through a couple of them, but I need y'all to watch the video a couple of times if you need. All right, take care. Bye-bye.